Now playing Over the Edge with Mickey Hughes, the woman who's not angry with 2020, just disappointed.
Hi, I am Mickey Hughes with Incidents Comedy, and this is the very first broadcast of
Over the Edge.
What the fuck? I'm Mickey Hughes. This is the very first broadcast of Over the Edge.
Over the Edge.
And this is a podcast about anxiety and something that we can all relate to right now, it being a pandemic. I feel like everybody is in my world. I'm not a medical professional, but I happen to know a lot about going over the edge. So I'm here with Scott Hobbs. He is a producer for the podcast, and he is with Kontrol Media. If you can hear this okay, then thank you.
Hey, no problem. I'm happy to be here.
It would suck. They can hear, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Totally.
super important. We just dub it over later.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Fix it in post.
So we're just going to talk about anxiety, maybe qualify why we might be good for this show.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like you're a seasoned professional.
I am. Oh, absolutely. I know. I feel like I have a lot to share.
Yeah.
So we'll start with that. So a definition of anxiety is it's just your body's natural response to stress. Do you feel like maybe you have?
I would say that I don't know that I would classify for the clinical definition of social anxiety or anxiety disorder, but I certainly can relate to the idea of feeling anxious. One of my things, and you're very familiar with this, is that I have really, really bad ADHD.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. One of the things that I notice is that when my ADHD is at its peak, I find that I tend to start to overthink things. I start to kind of get worried that I'm falling behind. I'm not getting things accomplished in the time that they need to, and I start to panic, and I start to get, I start to feel that anxiety, and because of that, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, so that I end up at the point where I'm not getting things done. I'm starting to kind of go, okay, I just have to do something else now. I'm just going to go play video games, or I'm going to do something else, because
like this is the 17th take and we've been doing this for 18 hours straight, and this is as far as we've gotten.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, really. And so I sort of make the anxiety of not getting things done lead me to not getting things done, which is, as I'm sure you know, it's very frustrating.
How do you find that the pandemic is affecting you? Do you find that you're more anxious as an anxious person?
So initially, no. Initially, actually, because I did get laid off from my other gig for probably about 6 weeks, and I found that it actually was great, because all of a sudden I'm like, I have time to work on all these projects that I want to do, and I have all these things that I want to get to. But what is always the case with ADHD is that that's all well and good in principle, but if you're not shaking the main issues behind ADHD, you're still not getting anything accomplished. And then now I'm getting anxiety because I haven't accomplished any of those things that I set out to do.
None of those things. In fact, you've undone things that you did previously.
I literally have. I've picked apart. I was working on an edit for a film that I was part of, and during the pandemic, I actually threw out the edit that I had worked on for about 6 months and started from scratch. And about 3 months into this new edit, I've realized it's looking almost identical to the previous cut I had done of it. So I've literally undone months of work for no other reason than I was just feeling anxious.
That's so exciting. So you're really good for this.
I feel like I could talk about it a little bit.
Talk about it. So when I was a kid, I was a very anxious child.
Yeah.
Right. They don't prescribe you things when you're young, and you didn't. So I toughed it out, and now I'm completely dysfunctioning adult. But you mentioned that you had the same thing that I had, which were night terrors, which I'm sure was healthy. I'm really glad I didn't talk to anybody about that when I was young.
Yeah, they probably started when I was about 6 or 7 years old, but I would wake up just screaming, like just hysterical, and of course,
that's hilarious.
And of course, my father handled it in the way that any good parent was. He'd usually throw a cup of water in my face, and that would be the end of it, kind of thing, right? And of course, I'd calm right down after that, right? When you're hysterical, I mean, nothing wakes you up better than freezing cold water in the face.
But in night terrors, you don't remember it.
No,
you don't. No. But you said that one time
so after years and years of this going on,
about what terrified you, Scott.
So if you can believe it, it was actually Big Bird from Sesame Street. Yeah, but he was blue.
Oh.
And it's something was going on. I probably saw a war film or something like that, a few weeks before these started, because I just distinctly remember it was like, I want to say the Vietnam War, maybe just before my time, but
Big Bird.
But Big Bird
Yeah.
was in the war, and he was running around with a machine gun and chasing me, and so weirdly though, it hasn't ruined Sesame Street for me at all. So.
But it really put a damper on the war.
I hate the Vietnam War now for some strange reason. Yeah.
And you're fine with that. Yeah.
What about you? Like, just...
I did. But I just want to go back to the Big Bird thing.
Yeah.
I
feel like we have to.
A little bit more. So you're having night terrors. You didn't know what they were, but you were terrified.
Yeah.
And then you realized it was Big Bird and it was blue and it was the war. Was that the end of your night terrors?
I never had another one.
Okay,
no, I never had another one after that. It was it. That was it.
Next time you night terror, you're just like, dude, you're Big Bird.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Exactly. Yeah. I may have even had that dream again and been like, oh yeah, it's you. We're fine. Just fell on some blue hair dye.
If you don't want to scare the shit out of you, just do that. And you go, phenomena. You're like,
I know you're not actually blue. You were just going through a phase. I get it. You're a teenager. I understand. Yeah. Never happened again. So yeah, I don't know about you. Did you ever remember yours?
I had horrific ones, and I don't remember it. I don't remember the conversation either with my mom, but I guess she said that, I used to tell her about these horrible, I had night terrors, I had nightmares, but I was little, and I would tell my mom in the morning, like, oh, there's a guy on a horse with a hood and he didn't have a face, and my mother would just be like,
that's terrifying.
It was. That's why my mom would be like, oh, it's okay, it was just a dream, and she said she would spend the rest of the afternoon going like,
in terms of night terrors, that's a way better one than mine.
Than the Big Bird?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't even know why I was afraid of that. Like, Big Bird with a machine gun's pretty badass, but but the guy without a face, that would be a completely logical reason to have anxiety.
That is pretty scary. I mean, the child I was having, I was probably suffering from post-traumatic stress from having these dreams from when I was a kid, and just having mom go like, you know what? No, you're fine. You're safe now.
It explains why you're so balanced now.
That's right. Oh, absolutely. This podcast was a really good idea. So let's see here. So you have anxiety, I have anxiety. Everybody has anxiety right now. We all handle it differently.
Yeah.
I'll get more to that later. We'll go to future episodes for that. I love that they're called episodes.
Yeah.
So we both have anxiety. We sort of defined it. What I'm going to do is let's play a game.
Sure.
Let's see what stressors we have maybe that cause us anxiety, which is sort of the premise of the show. Now, I'm going to keep score here.
Sure.
All right. So it's going to be like a contest.
Okay.
I already like way more fucked up than you. If you have
this is giving me anxiety already.
I've been upset for 17 minutes.
I only found out it was going to be on 3 minutes ago.
That's because I couldn't talk on my own. Why don't we just do it together? Okay, yeah, we'll do one. We'll play a game. Okay, so for anxiety, do you ever have you ever felt nervous?
Yeah.
You've never
like
right now.
Pretty regularly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is when I'm not nervous.
Yeah.
I would say we both experience.
I'm usually good until that first cup of coffee. And then, yeah.
By the 17th cup of coffee, I have no idea why I'm so upset.
My limit's 13 a day now. That's
right. You gotta really.
I strictly cut myself off.
That's right. Or else you get anxious.
Well, yeah, you don't want that. Right?
No. So, okay. What about? Do you ever? I mean, obviously, if we're drinking this amount of coffee, like an increased heart rate.
Yeah, well, and funny enough, I also have hyperthyroidism, so which I'm medicated for now. At least I'm on medication for something, right? So that's fairly okay now. But if I forget a pill or something like that, my heart rate goes up anyway.
So you're like over the edge, or maybe you have thyroidism.
Or could just be your thyroid.
Maybe you should check the diabetes. They are not medical professionals. They're just yapping about anxiety.
Just Google your symptoms. That always works for me.
That's where I got the list, though. That's also
where I got my anxiety.
That's right. Also, we're both having heart attacks. Yes. Just so you know, and we have 3 forms of cancer.
That's right.
Okay, that's a fun thing to joke about. Okay, what about sweating?
I'm sweating right now.
What about sweating? It is so warm in here. Okay, so we
all
both
these
do
lights,
that.
all these lights.
So we're both up to 3. So we're good.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like these are these are. Like this is like the minor leagues, right? Like trembling. Do you get? Yeah, we get trembling. Yeah, we get this.
Yeah.
You know, it's when you get.
I got rid of my hand tremor like pretty. Oh, now it's back.
Do you ever punch a shopping cart? No, it's like, what?
No, I stopped drinking Monster Energy drinks a couple of years ago, and that seemed to stop the
okay, so that's
the
one
wall
for me
punching and
then.
things
That's okay.
Yeah. So I feel like you're in the lead now.
Do you ever have trouble concentrating? Well, you have ADHD.
I have ADHD, so that just I think goes with the territory. But it's like that's probably if you were to look at the list of symptoms that we were looking at earlier, the trouble concentrating thing for me is not only the most prevalent thing that I have, but it's also the cause of so much of my anxiety.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it self-fulfills in a way.
That's the thing too, is they all go in together, right?
They do,
It's all one form. So you have OCD and ADD and ADHD and all of it. You got the entire alphabet. You're missing a couple of letters.
Yeah.
You're going to have all of these symptoms.
I don't think I have the letter Z in there yet.
That's no, I don't know. I could probably find something.
Yeah.
I can make up.
I was on Zoloft for a while though, so I feel like I've covered it there.
I have ADHD and Zoloft.
That's right.
I've had it for years. I'm taking, I don't know. I don't know names of mood stabilizers.
We forget.
What do you take for your Zoloft? Prozac.
Yeah, once you've tried them all, it's like
it doesn't even matter anymore. Do you ever have a sense of impending doom?
I do at times. Now that's another symptom that's actually it's actually a symptom of hyperthyroidism too, is that you get this impending sense of your own demise. So when I was going through a lot of my thyroid problems before I got diagnosed, and then again a couple years later when I went off my medication to see if my thyroid had stabilized, the first sign that something was wrong was I was convinced I was dying of cancer.
Oh.
Because my thyroid got all swollen, so I was like, oh. Thyroid cancer, clearly, right?
Did that make you feel nervous and sweating?
Oh, like full on like panic attacks.
I used to say that I had panic attacks. Like I thought I had panic attacks.
Yeah.
I thought that, and what I was actually experiencing was just like a high level of stress.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And until one day, it was a few years ago, I had an actual panic attack.
Oh wow.
Like a full real panic attack. And I've only ever had one real panic attack.
Yeah.
I thought I was dying.
Yeah.
And when it was explained to me, that was a panic attack.
Okay,
I was
so
like,
maybe it wasn't.
I was like, what was all that other shit I was doing before? Because I tell people, be like, I have panic attacks. I have panic attacks. I have panic attacks. I did not have fucking shit for panic attacks. And if you don't know, if you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had panic attacks, you've never had a fucking panic attack.
Okay, well,
like
maybe it wasn't a panic attack.
I don't mean it like that.
But it was at the point where it's like heart rate comes up and I just need to escape. I would hide in my bathroom and
maybe I'm just sensitive. Maybe I was just like worrying, and that was an actual panic attack.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right? But I just know that
I'm being dramatic.
Well, it's all right. I work in entertainment, right? So, no, I think and so the other thing though too is that when I was younger, I had a lot of problems with depression and stuff like that too. Which, as you know, like depression can also really trigger anxiety as well, right? And so you start having these feelings of dread, feelings of your own demise, and next thing you know, you're locked in a bathroom hyperventilating.
Have you ever gone over the edge?
I mean that edge is that's a really finite thing, right?
No, because we go to the edge. We're a different area, and some people go over, and some people stop and say, "No, I've got a kid, I've got a job." Have you ever just been like?
I feel like I've looked back at my subconscious and stuck one foot over and be like, what do you think of that?
Dip your toe.
Yeah. Just kind of like feel around for the edge.
You've just never done the free for all.
I don't think I've ever.
Out.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really jumped. Actually, because when I was about 19, I finally was like, okay, I've been dealing with depression issues for a few years, and I had a really tough high school, a lot of bullying and stuff like that, and then when the bullying stopped, it was because I started fighting back, and so a lot of fighting and stuff like that too. And so I really was in a bit of a spiral there for a while. But you know what, I recognized it at one point where I was just like, I know one of my parents was like, just get over it. And the other one was like, go get help.
Yeah.
And I got help, and it was great,
Because I don't think, maybe even just defining going over the edge. I don't think going over the edge necessarily even needs like a suicide attempt or something that's even to that degree.
Yeah.
Right? But you had decided to stop and then just go and get help instead of either getting into drugs or doing whatever, just saying,
I did that too, but
Yeah.
but eventually.
The therapist sucked.
Yeah, but better than the street therapist. But so it was funny because like every rebelling high school student, I was like, yeah, that's great advice and everything, but let's see what my dealer thinks.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. LSD was the wrong fucking answer, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it's the wrong answer.
With mushrooms might have been where you would, that's another episode completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think, you couldn't be like, I couldn't find any mushrooms, so I did some acid.
That's right.
Your therapist is like, oh, okay, well, no, that works.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
To meet that therapist. So yeah, I don't know, what about you?
That's like episodes 19 through 27.
Oh, okay.
Episodes again.
And season 2, obviously.
It's season 2,
yeah.
And then we're gonna go into. I'll be like 80 years old, and then in the summer of '97.
Almost at the 2000s, guys.
I've literally like flipped a coin and been like, where I did that when I was 17. I was living in Ottawa. I flipped a coin. I don't know. Did I want to go to Calgary?
Yeah.
My friend Lori was in Calgary. I had another friend in Vancouver, and I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I wanted to go to one of the places. I literally flipped a coin. It was Vancouver. I spent 14 years out there on a coin flip.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying, that was me. That's going over the edge.
Yeah.
Starting a podcast, maybe that's going over the edge, right? It's just, it's doing something different or something drastic or something. And it doesn't necessarily, I'm just trying to do it in a channeling way that isn't catastrophically, that won't cause other people post-traumatic stress.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
Okay, so we have. Do you ever avoid situations that will make you anxious, like things that maybe normal people would do, but you don't do that? Like,
yeah. Well, again, this is probably classic of a lot of people who go through this, is that I avoid the things that could fix the anxiety. So like, when people send you links and things about how to de-stress and how to
I hate that.
Take a deep breath and all these sorts of things, and maybe you should do yoga and you should do this and do that, and normally what I do is I just make a really big pot of coffee and go downstairs.
I watch a scary movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Drink some coffee.
Just a thriller and like a bunch of coffee, and that's how I.
And then I get upset because I don't feel better.
Yeah.
I'm also a recovering alcoholic. So I quit drinking 10 years ago, except for that, like 2 weeks, 4 years ago. But we'll talk about that. That's another one altogether. So, so I quit drinking. So I can't just take a pill. Yeah. And I can't take something that's going to calm me down.
Right.
And I get really annoyed because I know it doesn't work. Like bath salts and try meditating. I'm not going to sit and calm down and become one with the universe.
Yeah, no, 100%.
When I'm feeling like freaking the fuck out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. No, it's one of those things where I know what calms me down, and it's usually a good night's sleep, maybe a little bit of weed at night or something like that, and maybe drinking a little less coffee during the day.
Self-care. Self-care.
That self-care thing we always hear about.
What you should do? I'm not going to drink more water. I'm not going to get more exercise.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Well, and that was the thing. So like, when the whole pandemic thing started, like, I had put on like 30, 40 pounds because all I was doing was like working, and I would stop and get McDonald's on the way home or something, and then I would go back and work more on something else at home, right? So, so literally getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning for work, and falling asleep at 3 in the morning, and starting the whole process again the next day. So
I am not a pillar of strength generally.
Yeah.
But I found now more than ever, I'm getting phone calls from friends who are ending up with, mental health issues, and they're in the hospital. These people who are absolutely stable my entire life that are now losing their shit because of this, and they're calling me for advice, and they want to talk, or they want me to talk to their daughters, or they're having issues with these things. And I really need the world to get back to normal, because I have to go back to being the shit show. This is not a comfortable place for me. I don't want to.
Therapist Mickey is just like, you're just done, right?
How bad is the situation of the world?
Yeah.
When somebody says to somebody else, you know what you should do? You should call Mickey.
You are the divining light in all of this now.
Yeah, that's right. You need to. I'll make a podcast about it. And we're going into the second wave. And I'm not going to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
I can't. I need to do something. So that's how I ended up finding social media as a comedian, being on stage and not having that anymore. It was suggested, make a YouTube channel, I did TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and I got really all over social media.
Right.
I am a really big deal on a children's app. Just want to let you know that.
It's funny because when I got TikTok, I didn't know that you were already a big thing on TikTok.
Oh, geez.
And so I was like, scrolling through, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, Mickey's on there. Cool. So I'm like, I'm going to go take a look at some of her videos. And I look and I'm like, oh my God, like, I think you already had about 20,000 followers.
So this is ridiculous. I have no business being a comedian. Like for phobias, which is anxiety driven, I have horrible stage fright. Yeah. Like absolutely horrible. If you ever see me do comedy and you know me, you're like, the fuck is she doing up there? Yeah, anybody else is like, wow, that's a hilarious
I went to one of your first open mics at, I think it was Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
And I remember you getting up there and I was just like, something's not right about this picture.
I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And and friends look at that and they say, you were terrified. But if you don't know me, you can say that's a shtick.
The funny thing is everyone at our table
was like, oh, you did so good.
Yeah, everyone at the table except for the 2 or 3 people who I knew you.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh my God, she's killing it and everything. I'm like, she looks like she's going to pee.
Yeah, that's right. Like I don't take the microphone out of the stand, not because I just sort of stand there and I look at my feet. It's because if I take the microphone, I will shake so bad that you will see how terrified
Using
that
I stand as a cane.
Exactly. Like I quit drinking, but I still get my highs and my lows. I found stand-up comedy and I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. And I was able to have those. So that's why I do it, but I'm bad at it. Yeah. So I shouldn't. So
I do a little bit of acting. Like mostly I'm behind the camera, but every now and then I do a little bit of acting. And people always ask me what scares me. And like, other than bees,
yeah, we'll get to
it's
phobias.
Acting. Yeah,
it's acting. Why do we do those things that scare us? So we'll check these off. Do you have panic disorder?
No.
Okay, so social anxiety.
No, actually, I surprisingly, I'm actually very comfortable in social settings.
Social anxiety, absolutely. Yeah. Like I'm good, like one-on-one in very small groups of people. I get into large groups. I all of a sudden find myself I'm very exhausted, and it's actually really bad to do like with comedy. So I would just hang out, like I would kind of hang out with everybody afterwards, and an absolute stage fright. I anxiety to the point where I would put on these shows and then just not put myself in them. And people would say, oh, are you going up on stage tonight? Are you doing this tonight? Or, we'd have a pack. Well, no, I would say, no, we don't have any time, or else I would. And we were like, well, we finished 20 minutes early. That seems kind of weird. We're like, sorry. Do you have OCD?
No. In fact, my wife, who does have a little bit of OCD, I think it drives her crazy that I'm so much the opposite. I could walk into a bookstore and take a book and just put it back, and I don't even pay attention to where it's going. It's on the same shelf somewhere. And like, I mean, when you walk into our living room, like all our books are color coordinated. Everything is always done in a very methodical way at our house. Yeah. And I probably give her just ungodly amounts of stress because I'll put things away, but not necessarily where they're supposed to be.
I don't do it so much now because I like to think that logic plays into it, or maybe I've just gotten a little bit better. I found that when I was younger, though, if things were going really well in my life, and things were in my room in a particular way, so say I had, like a hairspray with like the lid was kind of halfway off of it, but things were going really, really well. I would use the hairspray and then I'd put it back and I'd put the lid like back to
where you found
exactly the universe was going the way it was because my bedroom was exactly the way, because that pen was there and that sock was there. Any post-traumatic stress disorder? These are just results of anxiety.
I don't think so. Like I don't think I would have the clinical definition of PTSD at all. Okay. I'm very intrigued by it. In fact, I'm actually writing a film about somebody who's living with PTSD.
It's very exciting. It's like you're at war and nothing is happening.
Exactly.
It's absolutely.
It's a very intriguing subject, and I think it makes for very interesting theater, if you will, because of the fact that it's reality for a lot of people, but for so many other people, it's like they know somebody with it. It's something that even if you can't directly relate to it, I think that enough people nowadays know about what it is. That I think it's a very intriguing subject.
I love it. I love the focus now and how it has been for the last few years on mental illness. And it is just as important and as liberating as the entire Me Too movement. Like Me Too happened, and like it happened and then it was an event. And it's absolutely wonderful what it's done for the women's movement. Now I feel like with mental illness, it's taken we've taken a couple runs at it, right? The Bell Let's Talk Day, let's talk, let's do it. But it was still kind of, I honestly believe now I can speak freely and people understand in a sympathetic tone as opposed to me being labeled, say, like a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Or
when you were younger.
dramatic. She wants attention. Now it's, she's doing this because of this.
When you were younger, how many times did somebody say, get over it? Or
get over it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Get over it. Yeah. But I got that a lot.
Yeah.
Troublemaker.
Yeah.
Right? Black sheep.
Yeah.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
Oh, she's just doing it for attention.
Oh, yeah.
I got a lot of that. So not only was I experiencing these horrible feelings, but then I was being told it was my own fault for feeling like that. And I should probably just get my shit together.
Yeah.
Right? So meanwhile, I'm at war and I'm being told that you're not at war.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like the ultimate gaslighting from the universe.
Mortar shells landing all around. You're like, it's nothing.
Exactly.
It's fireworks. That's all it is. Just
it's like, do you ever hear your dad? I'll give you something to cry about. I'll be like, but I'm already crying. I'll
give you something real to cry
What do you
about.
mean more to cry about? What do you want to do? That'd be like, like somebody setting off a bomb and then going and setting the person on fire.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? I will teach you to.
That's pain.
That's right. You want. Oh, so I've got the scores. I've been writing them down. Okay, and it's a picture of a cat.
So you win, I think.
I think so.
You can have that.
I don't know. We're pretty
even?
pretty screwed up.
Okay,
actually.
yeah, that's.
We should probably seek medical attention, and I don't think anybody should listen to our advice.
I'm gonna stay on that side of the camera. I think there's no cure in this episid.
There's no cure. It's just I find that talking about things, like I'm in therapy now.
And I've been there, right? Like I said, when I was in my early 20s, I did go through therapy and I did go on the medication and things. And for me, I was really fortunate because that was enough.
And it worked for you. Yes,
it worked for me. And and then like shortly thereafter, I went into the military for a couple of years, and I have been able to hold down steady jobs and haven't really been bothered by chronic depression. Yeah.
See, when I went back to work after the pandemic, after the lockdown, stopped, I had to, as my boss was sitting there, so Mickey, I heard that you were making some videos. Well, we were like, did you hear about the eating cheesies in the wedding dress? He's like, no, I didn't say. You know what? We're not going to worry about it.
What? Yeah. What? I think it's like you said, and I mean the whole reason that we're doing this, right, is that it's something that I think even people who don't necessarily have the clinical definition of anxiety, like I don't think I do, but I think I get it, like, and I do certainly get anxious. I do certainly go through periods of anxiety.
Okay, well, thanks for coming and the setup and the high super mega production.
Well, it's been fun being on this side of the camera for a change. I don't get to do this very often.
Really? I'm really glad that I really screwed up that first episode so bad that we decided to do this on the fly.
I hope it helps some people. I think it will.
Episode.
Episode.
It's an episode.